Actors want to be musicians and musicians want to be actors is not necessarily true when it comes to Billie Joe Armstrong of Green Day. I know this because I was fortunate enough to interview him back in 2002 when he was doing, I think, his first acting role for the TV show Haunted, which starred Matthew Fox. And literally the only reason why he was on the show was because he was friends with Matthew Fox. Yes, Matthew Fox, that was on a show called Party of Five and eventually on a show called Lost. Anyway, I was stoked to visit Billie Joe on the set because I was a huge fan of Green Day. But the mainstream punk boom that they helped ignite had kind of cooled, and they were quietly searching for their next reinvention, which maybe that's why Billie Joe was talking to me. I have no idea. Anyway, while this interview is relatively short and sweet, we still got to talk about Pop Disaster Tour, writing new music, paying tribute to the Ramones, and even discuss the impact of Time of Your Life and how it gave them freedom to explore beyond punk. So it's to press play and listen to this classic conversation with mucho thanks to lead singer and thespian Billie Joe Armstrong. Enjoy. My first question is the obvious question, and that is, how did this come about?
I'm an old friend of Matthew's, so we just he asked me to be on it, and it was this really cool role, and I get to play a dead guy with a bullet in his head. So I, how could you pass at something like that?
Okay, now, is this how you friends with Matthew? Just, I mean,
Our families have been friends for a long time. Like we take vacations together and stuff like that, and our kids are similar in age, so it's yeah. I mean, it's pretty just hanging out and going on vacation pretty much.
what about as far as let's talk the role that you're playing? That guy with the bullet in his head, Irving.
Yeah.
What are you playing?
Well, yeah, I play a guy named Irv, and I think he's just a big gambler, and he ended up I don't know, somehow in his past I think he committed suicide or something like that from just from debts that he owed, and I don't know, it's pretty cool.
It sounds almost.
I mean, it's not cool, but it's like it's a good thing for me to do.
No, what I was saying is like it sounds like you're doing a little backstory there. I'm just saying.
What backstory?
Yeah,
My
a little
debts?
backstory in the acting there. You were like getting into the acting a little bit there, Billy Joe.
Oh, no, I don't know. I think this is a one-shot deal, then they're gonna lock me up after that, so, but I don't know. I mean, if I like it, then, I'll think about doing it again, but I don't know, for now, it's just like, I just wanna do this one thing and make sure it's, halfway decent and I don't sound like a porn star, like, when I'm talking.
Which is nice because I mean I think you've been in a couple other things before, but I think more as yourself.
Right, yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I've done videos and stuff like that, but, and that's all I'm bringing to this is just bring myself. I'm not gonna sit and try to do any method acting or anything like that. I don't even know what method acting is, to tell you the truth. So I'm just gonna go up and wing it. And I mean, me and Matthew have done time in bars, so I mean, it's pretty easy for me to get into a bar with Matthew at this point.
it's funny. I've interviewed a bunch of actors over my. I don't know what method acting is either. Um, the obvious question is like I know you're starting to do this acting thing, but what do you think you get from acting that you may not get from music? Because like music, you have a little bit more control. And
Hmm.
have you like even thought that far?
No, I don't even think about becoming an actor, to tell you the truth. It's like this, it's when you see actors becoming musicians, you sort of look at them, it's kind of offensive. So I can imagine like some people in the acting community might think the same thing about a musician trying to be an actor. But I don't know, Eminem's doing it lately, so I don't know.
Could be cool.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a lot of buzz on that movie. What about as far as what have you been? Because I know that you guys have been touring for a few years. God,
Hmm.
it seemed like forever for a little bit.
Hmm.
What have you been doing downtime since?
Well, we just did that big pop disaster tour over the summer, which was great. We had a great time. And that's all I want to do is I just want to play my guitar and sing and write songs and play in my band like I always have. And it's pretty much what I've been doing. I write songs all the time. So hopefully next year we'll put another record out.
Then when you write songs all the time, are you a prolific writer in the sense that they're all good, or you just constantly, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, well, yeah. Sometimes I'll try different hats on here and there when it comes to different styles, but yeah, I mean, generally, most of all of my songs are pretty amazing.
I agree. Yo, concur. But
I don't want to sound like I'm tooting my own horn or anything, but it's a little known fact, but I happen to be a very famous man.
Exactly. What about as far as has the direction? Because obviously people are starting to talk about, when's the next record coming out. Have you noticed a different direction in the songwriting, the creative process for you and the band?
I don't know. I think our next album, I think we want to try to do the whole thing live, just right in the studio without doing any overdubbing or anything like that. Um, anything that's challenging for us, it's like we're willing to take it on, and we really want to tour, like we really want to emphasize on like just like having a big, that's our strongest point, I think, is us being a live band, and it's just like a big party for everybody when they come and see us play.
Well, it's interesting you say you want to do live because one of the things about your records, at least it seems, it has a live feel. They translate live well. Have you heard that or?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's hard because a lot of, like being in the studio, you can get so clinical. A lot of bands that are, it's you listen to a lot of music that's on the radio, and it just sounds really polished, and there's no sort of distinctive character in the sound quality, and it's like we're not going for the best sound quality. That's not, we don't want to actually sound good. No, just kidding. I mean, we want to sound good, but it's like we want to be like we want to we just want something that sounds different, sounds a little more raw. You can hear just the energy of the band, and that's what we're going for.
Watch this segue. The Haunted is somewhat similar when it comes to TV like that. They're a little bit more raw than our shows. They're definitely different. Is that one of the other things that is, attractive? Because I don't know if I picture you watching TV all the time. As I've gotten older, I don't watch that much TV anymore. I don't know.
Yeah. I it is a cool show. It's like, I like the themes that it has, and just learning lessons, and it has dead people in it, and uh, you know, uh sort of vigilance going on, and it's a cool show.
Well, Mark Hoppus. I mean, this is like a little music show. Maya did it. Mark Hoppus did it. I mean, what's bizarre is that people are actually going to tune in. Fans of yours will tune in just to watch the show because you're there, which is, I guess, part of the reason that the producers are extremely excited. Have you thought about the fact that you kind of control a little bit of a segment of the population that will literally just kind of follow? I say it in a sweet way. I mean it.
Yeah, no, I think I'm not going around telling too many people that I'm doing. It's just because it's something I want to look back and be proud of. And as far as my acting capabilities, I'm not an actor. I'm not an actor, but I play one on television.
Say no more. Another thing you have, there's two other stories that are coming out. One, I think you guys already recorded the Ramones track,
Right.
the tribute CD.
Mhm.
What was that experience like?
It was the song that we did, we chose a song called Outsider, which is probably my favorite Ramones song. And then, we got a chance to do the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction for the Ramones, which was great. We just can't, we played exceptionally well. I thought we had a great time. And, I don't know. Then Johnny Ramone just said, hey, you guys want to do a song for this? And we're like, yeah, and name it. We'll be there.
And so, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other news concerning the band is that I think Basket Case was you've made it into game show history. I mean, not game show. Excuse me. You're on a game, BMX Triple S.
Oh yeah,
There's the songs in there.
yeah. I don't. That's another thing I don't know much about riding bikes or video games, but but it's a cool thing. I mean, the riders are phenomenal, so it'd be cool. It's, there's a lot of comparisons and things like that with like skateboarding and music, and even though I'm not a skateboarder either, but it's cool. It's great.
No, but the music,
Mhm.
your music especially, definitely seems to translate well with sports and stuff like that. I know you don't necessarily do that on purpose, but all right, I'm telling towards the end. I just want to what to expect, when to expect the new record.
I'm not
That's right.
sure. Hopefully, yeah, I don't. Hopefully before next summer would be nice to have a record out. But we just want to make sure that it's all right, and we're total perfectionists when it comes to making sure all the songs are right, and it's the right kind of record for us.
What's extremely bizarre is that since we own all the stations, I can check the airplay. You still, with all your other songs, you're still getting, more than several thousand plays just a week.
So,
You know, Can you talk a little bit about, because when you on your initial rise, you're in the middle of just the success thing. Took a while. And now it's been a few years. You could kind of actually look back on that. What are the thoughts when you look back on that initial rise?
Well, I think we never dated ourselves. We never. We always wanted our music to become timeless, and we always sort of had that in the back of our head when we're writing the songs together. And we don't do anything that's shticky or anything that's schlocky or that's you know that's a sign of the times or whatever. I mean, you can name a million '80s bands just because that's the way they sounded. But for us, just like our heroes, bands like The Who and The Clash and the Ramones, of course, and to newer bands that we really like a lot. That it's that classic sound, and that's what we're going for. And that's, I think, if anything, we've been successful at is that.
What I also think is pretty amazing. I tend to lean more towards your aggressive stuff because that's a good outlet for me. But it's amazing that you actually have songs that feed that. But you really do have songs that cross the spectrum, which I think when you initially started, I don't know if that was part of the plan. I don't know if there was a plan, but like to have a song like "Time of Your Life" that is a special track.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and also Time of Your Life really opened us up to a lot of different. Just we're able to like play anything we want. We're not exclusively like, a punk rock band or something like that. And it's good because everybody grows up and they my taste change. And to tell you the truth, I don't listen to a lot of punk rock music or you try to figure out. It's like punk rock showed me a lot, but in essence, what we're really talking about is life and how you want to live it.
I can't ask another question after that. Good at those.
That was my interview with Billie Joe Armstrong of Green Day in 2002. Looking back, the two things that actually stand out to me about that interview was the music that Billie Joe was talking about was supposed to be an album called Cigarettes and Valentines, but that record never got released I think the master recordings were stolen, or as the story goes, the band scrapped it, started fresh, but that freshness led to American Idiot, an album that, changed everything for Green Day. Again, don't call it a comeback. It was a reinvention. Anyway, the second interesting thing about this interview that I thought was interesting for me was it made me go back and find that episode of him acting on Haunted. And I did, and he was good. So anyway, that's it. Please hit subscribe as I got more classic conversations coming. The vault is open. We're ready for business.